Today we're going to talk about, or I'm going to talk about, perseverance. I have all these lame jokes that are just sitting in my head, waiting for the opportunity to unimpress people. But one of them is my spirit animal. I joke that my spirit animal is the Weeble Wobble. Weeble Wobbles, if you've never seen these majestic toys from the 70s, is actually not a Weeble Wobble. It works in basically the works in basically the same way. Weeble Wobbles, they weeble and they wobble and you're ruining it. Okay, so no, Weeble Wobbles, they weeble and the wobble, but they don't fall. Well, yeah, that one does fall down, but they come back. They always come back eventually. That's a defective Weeble Wobble. Stop it. So Weeble Wobble. So perseverance. I heard somebody at a prayer group I go to was talking a couple weeks ago about how Satan, the serpent, and a lot of times in the Bible, dragon, and all this thing. The thing about lizards and reptiles is they're quick. They hide. They're sneaky, and they strike quickly. Right? And that's how Satan acts. That's kind of his strategy. He hides, he deceives, he strikes quickly. As Christians, we're called to persevere. Our strategy is different than that of the devil's. Okay, the devil has a quick strike, sneaky strike, and go at the heels, poison, and all this. Whereas as followers of Christ, his strategy is much more long-term. And I think the best way to think about this is like in a game or something. You have like the long play and the short play. And then now you see me movies, they talk about the long play. A short play, most people are a short play. They think 2 or 3 steps ahead, maybe at the most. Again, with chess is a good example of something that's a long play. You gotta to be a chess champion or chess master, you have to think, okay, if I do 20 moves down, I don't know how far. I can maybe think about 5. But, really good chess players are way down the line. Right? And that's called the long play. And then the short play is the immediate gratification and so forth. And then the other thing I'm going to talk about in this video is the difference between a hard sell and a soft sell. So this video is about perseverance and having no regrets. I haven't really talked about that yet, but I'm going to talk about it in the actual video, so stay tuned.
Just how much air I will need to breathe when your tide rushes over me. There's only one way to figure out. Will you let me drown? Yeah, will you let me drown?
Okay, hi, my name is Philip Fanstil, and this is philipfiles, and the thought's been going through my head a lot lately about the long play and perseverance. The kind of the Weeble Wobble, as I said, God hasn't called us to the sprints. God has called us to the marathon, to the long race, and you see this in a number of scriptures. It says, "Do not grow weary in well doing, for in due season you will reap if you faint not." Okay, or having done all to stand. Or, let patience have its perfect work. And again, that's one of those prayers you never want to pray. You never want to pray, "Lord, help me with my patience." Yeah, He'll help you. And, because that's the best way to do that is practice, right? But the patience, God has called us to the long play. God has called us to endure. And in Revelations, in a number of places, it says, those who endure till the end shall be saved. All right, so there's this endurance, and that's not the flashy stuff. That's not the fun stuff. That's not the, the way the world kind of plays it is the short-term instant gratification, and they don't think long-term, and they also go with the hard sell. Hard sell, soft sell is this idea. A hard sell is pressure. You got to do this now. You got to buy this now. This is the limited time offer. Act now. Phone lines are open for the next 3 minutes. Blah. And then the world ends, and you're all going to die. That's kind of a hard sell. Got to do it now. Okay, and those work. The problem with those is one, you're kind of pushing something people don't necessarily need. And a lot of times there's buyer remorse. You buy and you're like, why did I buy that? Okay, but that's the pressure that salesmen and so forth use. I am not a very good salesman. Maybe I'm a soft sell, and a soft sell is where you present truth, you present ideas. Okay. Now the thing about soft sell is when people do buy into that, it's longer lasting. It's something when people do buy into a soft sell, and they're like, they buy into that, they're with you. All right. It's a much more long-term thing. So I think that the long play and the soft sell go together, and the hard sell and the short play. I'm gonna kind of flip those, right? Whatever. Okay. And so that's something I've been thinking about. And now with, I was reminded a couple of days ago, and actually I want to kind of bring up this is kind of interesting. This is one of the ways God kind of talks to me. So last week I did Ripping the Roof. Shout out to my friends Christopher, who I mentioned already. He gets a double mention, and his sisters Abigail, Catherine, Charity, and Daniel, who's not a sister. That's a brother, and Davy Crockett, of course. And so I need to shout out. I'm not really shouting, more of like a talk out. So I did this one on roof ripping last week, and I went to church. I went to see my kids down in Texas this week, and we went to church. And guess what they did? The lesson was about the four friends who lowered their friend down through the roof. So again, you could say coincidence, quinky-dink, whatever, but it's like, I don't know. I've seen that too often in life. Where I can't remember the last time anybody's talked about those four men lowering the guy through the roof, and yet here I do a video on it last week, and then they do a little thing on it this week. I just think that's curious. That's kind of one of the ways that God's like, hey, you're kind of on the right track. Kind of maybe a confirmational bias, possibly, but it's still interesting. So that's why I have that here. Okay, so perseverance and regret. A couple years ago, back up. Regret. There's an interesting verse in the Bible. Where when everyone's in heaven and Jesus is there, and they're about to go into eternity or whatever, it says that Jesus will wipe every tear from their eye. And I think about that. I think that He's wiping away the tears of regret. And if you read that passage, He's wiping away the tears of regret. Think about this a lot, and the Bible actually says that some people will get into heaven as if through fire. They get there, but they have nothing to show for it. All right, and that's unfortunately a lot of people. I was talking to my friend today, and I'll probably reference that conversation a little bit. That's what that's what I want to hear when I get to heaven is well done. Do you want a medium well or well done? No. When Jesus says, well done, good and faithful servant, that's the dream, right? Living the dream. So, but regret is an interesting thing, because I think when people get to heaven, they kind of live life. They've accepted Jesus, they got the fire insurance, right? But they don't really have a lot to show for it, and so they're tears, and Jesus will wipe away their tears. I had a pastor a couple years ago say, we don't know how treasures will work in heaven exactly, but we know you're going to want them. And so I'm like, okay, I get that. The Bible says lay up for yourself treasures in heaven. So there is some kind of economy up there. How it works, I don't know. But you're going to want them. So, but these people, they get there, but they have these regrets. Well, one of the things in my life that I've tried to do is I try to live my life without regrets. Now, do I make mistakes? No, never. Yeah, of course I do. But like last week with the going for the roof ripping, living without regrets, and that means you got to take some chances. And the biggest regrets, and I mentioned about the Richie and the hair, and that was a regret. Most of my regrets are the chances I didn't take. I don't regret the things the chances I do take and that miss. So my thing is I try to live my life without regrets. Now the regrets I've had in life, and I think we all have regrets. But for me, my personality, I guess, is the regrets I have are the chances and the things I didn't do. I don't regret the choices and the chances and the things I take that fail. I think that's part of, you gotta have to swing. And to use some baseball metaphors here, you gotta swing. You're gonna miss every pitch you don't swing at, all right? But if you swing, you just might hit a home run or a bunt in my case, or you might get on base or whatever. But you swing, you have a chance. There's a probability. You're playing the probabilities there in a way. I think as followers of Christ, as Christians, we're called to take the swings. We're called to try to go for it, step out in faith. And will we sink sometimes? Yeah. Will it always work out the way we want it? Very rarely. But we're called to take those chances. And so as a follower of Christ, I'm like, I got it. That's, for me, the biggest regrets I've had, as I said, are the chances I didn't take. I don't regret the times that I tried and failed. And again, the metaphor I've used in the past, but you may have heard this for those from baseball. Babe Ruth, when he was playing baseball, he had the most home runs of any player in baseball. He also had the most girlfriends. Oh, wait, no. Strikeouts. He probably actually had the most girlfriends too, but that's a totally different thing. No, he had the most strikeouts. So he had the most strikeouts and he had the most home runs. Well, in order to get the home runs, you're going to strike out sometimes. And so that's kind of one of those decisions I've made is I've always taken chances, but I'm going to be taking a lot more chances. And even when I strike out, even when it's like, oh, yeah, that's awkward, I'm going to be like, okay, well, I get back on the horse, or well, not. I don't own a horse, but get back up and okay. Well, what do we do wrong? What try something different, whatever. So there's a story that I'm going to finish this little ditty with. Kind of illustrates this in my life and kind of the perseverance and living without regret. All right. When I was about 16, 17 years old, there's this girl. That's how a lot of my stories are. And I haven't dated that many. I dated one girl, she not me, and then I was married for 18 years, and it was married. But anyway, even that I don't regret. I just got divorced 3 months ago. Don't regret. I don't regret the marriage. I don't. It wasn't. I won't get into that. I didn't want the divorce. So I'll just leave it at that. But it is what it's ours. What it's ours. But the thing is, I don't regret it. It's like, okay, I did. Everyone makes mistakes, but I'm 6 wonderful children, and I'm appreciative to my ex-wife, and we had good times and bad times, and it is what it is there. But I don't regret it, and I'm blessed. I have 6 wonderful children. I'm just crazy wonderful, and a little crazy, just crazy. But life, you're gonna take risks. Sometimes they're gonna fail. Sometimes they'll succeed. But you got to take the risk. One of my favorite stories in the Bible, I'm going to come back to when I was 16, 17. But one of my favorite stories in the Bible is the 3 lepers. There was this cheetah and this leper and this lion. No, wait, I'm sorry. 3 lepers, as in the skin disease. And they're going to die in Samaria. They're starving, and the city of Samaria is being besieged by the Assyrians. And these 3 lepers, kind of like the roof rippers, they decide, what, we can sit here and starve, or we can go out to the Assyrian camp, and maybe they'll give us food, maybe they'll kill us, but, what do we have to lose? And so they go out to the Assyrian camp. And on the way to the Assyrian camp, as they're walking through these hills or whatever, the sound of their footsteps echo through the walls of the canyon, and they get to the Assyrian camp, and the Assyrian camp thinks they're being betrayed and they're being attacked, so the Assyrian camp runs off. So these 3 lepers, they tried something and very well could have gotten killed, but they're like, you know what, we're going to die anyway. So, but God used that little effort, that proactive. I used to teach this in my class, proactivity. They were proactive. They took action. All right. Okay. So back to when I was 16, 17 years old, I used to have nightmares about. So I wanted to be a lifeguard. Well, there's 2 reasons, both very noble. One is there's this girl who was a lifeguard up in Colorado, and I was very interested in her, and I was like, I got to show off. Okay. And, she's a lifeguard. I want to be a lifeguard, Very noble, right? The second was I used to have nightmares about people drowning. And so I was like, Well, with fear, whenever you have a fear, you should run away from it and hide and don't. No, you face your fears. You face your fears, and that's part of having no regrets. You face your fears. You take the swings. You go for it. All right. So when I was 16, 17, I signed up for a lifeguarding class. All right, and I went to this lifeguarding class, and the first night there, they did some classwork, taught us some things, all this stuff. And then we got in the pool at the end of the night, and they had a swim. And they said, okay, you're going to have to do these 4 strokes, backstroke, side stroke, breaststroke, freestyle. And you also have to swim underwater for 20 yards or something. And I was a good swimmer. I mean, my parents had thrown me in the pool, sink or swim when I was much younger, and I didn't sink too far for too long, I hope. But so I was a decent swimmer. I've been swimming my whole life. Not literally, I'm on land right now, thank God. But, so I was like, yeah, I can swim. I have a lot of confidence. Sometimes I lack confidence in the things I should have confidence in, and then I have too much confidence in things that I should really not have confidence. It's kind of fun. So I went to this lifeguarding class, and they said, okay, swim. And so I swam. I thought I did pretty well. Well, at the end of the night, they basically cut. I didn't know they could do this, but they cut like 15 of us. And they're like, you guys really don't have the swim techniques. You really can't be lifeguards. And so we'll give you a refund. Go on your way. I was devastated. I went to my car, and I was just devastated. And so this is kind of the idea. What happens when things don't go your way? What happens when that curveball comes in, or you strike out, or bottom of the 9th inning, bases loaded, 2 strikes, 3 balls, and you swing at a ball outside the zone, and game's over, and lost the game. What do you do the next night? In athletics, they say you have to have a short-term memory. You can't. You got to keep going. You got to keep going. Forgetting those things. Paul says this, forgetting those things that happened in the game last night, and pressing toward the 9th inning. He says something like that. But we got to keep going. You can't get wallowed and stuck in that slough of despond. You got to keep going. So I went to my car. I didn't cry. I don't cry. I think I cried. And I was just like, just devastated. I don't know why I was so devastated, but I was. And something just rose up within me, and it was my lunch. No, something rose up within me, and I was like, I'm going to do that, and I purposed in my heart, and I was like, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to quit. So the next day, I called the guy, the head of the guy who's doing the lifeguarding thing. I called him, and I said, I can do this. Let me try again. Because it was like a Tuesday, Thursday. So the first night was Tuesday, and then they were going to meet Thursday. So I called him Wednesday, and I said, okay, let me try again. So I went to the pool that day and practiced some swim and tried to, open my eyes on water and these kind of things. And I went back Thursday night, and just like in the movies, everything turned out the same as on Tuesday night. So I got kicked out twice. So on Thursday night, he kicked some more people out Thursday night, and he kicks me out again. I'm incorrigible. Which I always thought meant to be encouraged, but I don't think that's what that one means. But so I got kicked out again, and that now at this point, it's not about the girl in Colorado. It's not about saving drowning people. It's like, am I going to let this defeat me? Am I going to weeble and wobble and fall down? Am I going to bounce back up? Am I going to persevere? That's where the regret comes in. Again, for me, the biggest regrets are the things I didn't do, or the things the things I did that didn't really turn out. I'm like, well, I did my best. That's kind of how I approach life. So after the second night, I was like, well, but I didn't give up. Actually, at that point, I called for some reinforcements. So I talked to my mom and my dad, and they have a friend. Actually, my friend John Affleck. I'll probably post his little name, John Affleck, here on the Facebook. But his mom met me at the gym that we and taught me. She was a swim teacher, or whatever. So she kind of went through and she taught me these strokes. She taught me the side stroke and the breaststroke and the backstroke and the freestyle, and got me practice. And so And I did this, and I did it with her a couple times, I think, and then I went a lot on my own, and I signed up for another lifeguarding class that summer. And the interesting thing is, two interesting things. When I did go to that lifeguarding class, which was like a month or two later, I was one of the best swimmers in that class. Of course, I think the reason why is because that class was filled with all the rejects from their other ones, like me. So I was the best of the rejects. But anyway, so I took that lifeguarding class, and I learned a lot. I really enjoyed it. And of course, the funny thing is I never actually lifeguarded. But it's one of those skills I'm so glad I have, because I'm confident around water. I'm not foolish, live dangerously, not recklessly. But I'm confident around water. I know what to do in a situation. And having that knowledge, it gives me a lot of confidence. And now that I'm swimming, I got a pool here, I'm swimming a lot more, and getting me some Michael Phelps muscles, maybe. Okay, maybe not so much, but so it was one of those things, and that really kind of, for me, kind of sealed in my head. When you get knocked down, I think the Bible says this: a righteous man falls down 7 times, yet the Lord lifts him up every time. And I think there's something powerful about that, and that goes back to that perseverance. We're not called to win every fight. We're called to fight every fight, and we're called to persevere. And another idea, and I'll close on this, is, and I would say I'm gonna take this up with God when I get to heaven, but I'll probably have other stuff to do for maybe a couple billion years. But at some point, I may ask him. I say, so Yahweh, why did you let the devil go first? Can go back to that snake thing. The devil always strikes first. It's like, and you see this in Job, you see this throughout the Bible. The devil does his worst, and then God's like, okay. So God lets the devil go first. I'm like, why? Why can't you go first, God? Why don't we switch this around? You're a gentleman, all that. I really love it. Great. But why don't you go first? Why is it the devil always gets to go first? I mean, is this like just you drew straws and this out? Well, I think I have an inkling. And that patience have its perfect work. It may be entire, lacking nothing. And that it's the testing of our faith. And I don't like this, but it's the testing of our faith. It's the trials that we go to. The trials turn to gold, and this kind of idea. And I always kind of wonder why Christians that desire to live godly lives in Christ Jesus must suffer persecution. It would be kind of cool if God. Well, I don't know. But that's always an interesting question. Why do you let the devil go first? In my life, it's it's just one of those questions. But God says, "He who is faithful to the end shall be saved. Do not grow weary in well doing." And this is the last. I promise. Pinky promise. Oh wait, that's not how that works. Scouts on. I don't know how to do scouts. Vulcan honor. I don't know. But here's the deal. The last little thing is, do we listen to ourselves or talk to ourselves? And I think people that listen to themselves will quit. People that listen to themselves will draw back out of fear. People that listen to themselves will quit the race, will stop. And what I mean by that is people that talk to themselves, which I talk to myself all the time, thank you very much. I'm doing it right now. So people that talk to themselves, and wow, actually what I'm talking about here is when we listen to ourselves, we kind of listen to, and really we're listening to our emotions, we're listening to whatever the devil's throwing at us, we're just listening, we're just taking it in. Woe is me, and we get through the pity party, party for one and all that. When we talk to ourselves, we're stirring up our most holy faith. We're going back to ways. Oh wait, no, God said this, and God said this, or I read this is what. This is a story in the Bible, and this is when we talk to ourselves, we're stirring things up. All right, and the Bible says stir up. Stir up the gift that's within you. Press forward. There is this action. We have to talk to ourselves, and if we're always listening to ourselves, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. But we're talking to ourselves and stirring ourselves up and persevering, not quitting, keep going. And when you get down, you go to God and say, Lord, strengthen yourself like David did at Ziklag. Strengthen yourself in the Lord. Or as Paul says, sing to yourself in songs and hymns. And get some good music, get good Christian music, good praise and worship. I mean, I've been catching myself doing that a lot. Just singing different songs that kind of pop in my head and just refreshing. Because when the going gets rough, you can quit. All right. Or actually, the better quote, I love this, is in a Randall Wallace book, Name Drop, in Love and Honor, I believe. He says, the wolves can eat you, or you can eat the wolves. We can let life devour us. And we can run. We can run in fear. We can hide. We can live in fear and let life devour us. Or we can turn the tables, and through perseverance and through talking to ourselves and stirring ourselves up and preparing ourselves, we can eat the wolves. Don't know what that would taste like, but I'm willing to try that. Shalom. Have a good evening.